You know, some people think that hunting is just sitting around waiting for a deer to walk by. Hunting is the original outdoor challenge. You'll test yourself physically and mentally against the elements. It's intense, exhilarating, and every day is an adventure. Whether you take a shot or not.
Not what you expected? Then give hunting a try. Plan your adventure today at huntinfo.org.
Hey everybody, my name's Kevin Hoyt and I've got some exciting news for our nation's youth hunters. I've teamed up with several sponsors and we're giving away some
fantastic, unbelievable, awesome,
world-class hunts, like Trophy Elk in Hells Canyon, Idaho, or Whitetail on the famous Milk River in Montana. We're giving away those hunts and a bunch more.
Don't worry, Dad, you can come too.
Just get a parent's permission and log on.
There's a lot about the outdoors that deserves our appreciation. The mountains, the swamp, hardwood bottoms, and the fact that nowhere in all this beauty is there a decent place to hang a clock. Out here, time passes at its own pace, one we'd all be better off following. So, slow down, breathe deep. As the wind and the grass just reminded us, there's plenty of time.
Live. This hunting season is season only. Mother Nature's Outdoor Arena, the world's elusive giant whitetail monster buck. A safe, fun, and enjoyable experience for the entire family. Feel the adrenaline for yourself. Help manage and protect the nation's wildlife and take home respect, understanding, and a lifetime of memory. Learn the incredible bonding power and pass on our heritage and traditions. Tickets available at your local DNR. You can buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Welcome back to the future of hunting and the first morning of Mitchell's adventure. Our hunters were set up in one of the deluxe shooting houses located at Dutchmans hunting paradise, and it wasn't long after daybreak when they spotted their first deer. It always helps to know animal body language, and that over-the-shoulder glance tells me that there is something else coming behind this doe. Another doe! The pair passed through a small opening in the bush at 80 yards. They never knew our hunters were there, and this was a good sign that the deer were moving. "20 minutes later, and Mitchell got an awesome show, as this young 8-point makes a rub at 35 yards. If you watch close, you can see he's not rubbing the tree with his antlers as much as he's using the scent glands on his forehead and around his eyes. See how he keeps checking the scent?
Now this really is a hunting paradise. Our youth hunter had to wait a whole 30 minutes for his next buck encounter. At 3 yards, this buck instantly knew something was up, as our hunters remained perfectly still and held their breath. Can you say busted?
I wish I could plan for a morning like the one we were having. Heck, we all do. But even I didn't expect to witness the sights we were about to see. The day's activities continued with a 9 a.m. sparring match between these two young bucks. The deer on the left is obviously outsized by the deer on the right, but during this pre-rut hunt, we got to see these guys going through the motions of establishing a pecking order for the upcoming breeding season. When these deer hit the rut or peak breeding season in about 3 weeks, these battles are epic and sometimes fought to the death. The next oddity we got to see was this buck. The albino type trait is rare, and a white spotted deer like this is called a piebald. He seemed a little camera shy and didn't hang around long enough to give us much good footage. That's too bad because the buck traveling with him looks like he might fit into Mitchell's management category. This mature buck surprised us and was on top of us before we even knew he was there. Look at the body size of this deer. What a whopper.
And this whole time, with all the monster bucks running around, Mitchell was still waiting to see a monster rack. But then my dad spotted something.
Yeah, that's right. There he was, bedded a mere 120 yards away this whole time. This trophy was lying right in front of us for the last 3.5 hours, and we never saw him. Unbelievable.
From that point, things slowed down a little. Another Joe passed the shooting house an hour later, and our hunters were ready to take a break for lunch.
Three does and 8 bucks, including a piebald deer. What a morning.
Then, just as we were about to leave, we spotted buck number 9, a young 10-point. Looks like Terry's going to have years and years of great hunting ahead of him, and as for Mitchell, this was only his first morning at Dutchman's hunting paradise. So he headed back to the lodge to meet up with Terry for lunch before trying our luck that afternoon. Oh, what a morning. After a quick lunch, you'll never guess who we spotted on the way back to the blind. What a cool looking buck, and it's impossible to mistake him for any other deer. I just wish he'd give me more than 8 or 10 seconds of footage. Once we returned to our blind, it was a long, quiet wait before we saw our first deer, as this doe and Spike passed the stand. Then we had this yearling 4-point and a 2-year-old 8-point within 45 yards of us. I don't think they saw us, but they sure were spooky. As the day got later, the bucks got bigger. This massive 3-year-old 9-point was a little too big for the management buck, and the broken rack 6-point behind him was a little too small. We were losing camera light fast, and if Mitchell wanted to tag out on day 1, we needed a shooter buck to show up, not some freak like this. This 2-year-old non-typical rack will be a giant in the future, and as the clock ticked down, the only other buck we saw was this 180-inch monster. Again, way too big for the management category. Looks like Mitchell will have to wait for day 2.
And you'll have to wait too as we check back in with our sponsors. The Future of Hunting will be right back.
You know, a friend of mine once told me he thought target shooting